people are too much. You know that? I mean, you really do think you're God. Except, Doctor, when God created his Eve, he did it to shake us up a little bit. Now you've gone one better and designed her to blow us all the fuck away.
Eve of Destruction is an interesting science fiction thriller action movie from 1991 that almost nobody knows about, but that actually made some money at the box office. Dutch actress Renée Soutendijk stars as Dr. Eve Simmons, a scientific researcher who works for the United States government. Simmons has created an android robot named Eve 8, designed to look and sound exactly like herself. Eve 8 has been equipped with Dr. Simmons' face, her body, and her memory. She's as human as a robot can be, hence she's an android. The purpose would be to use android robots like Eve 8 to infiltrate enemy defenses and do surveillance work during things like a foreign crisis. When Eve 8 is on a test run walking around San Francisco, she becomes damaged during a bank robbery.
Fuck you, lady!
It then malfunctions and turns into a violent killing machine, going off the grid and becoming a threat to the public. The government turns to Army Colonel Jim McQuaid, played by Gregory Hines.
Webster, Harris, Des Moines, Saperstein, Carter. You're all dead.
Jesus.
And each would have an epitaph. He died for his country because he didn't fucking listen.
An anti-terrorism expert, McQuaid works with Dr. Eve Simmons to try and track Eve 8 down.
This thing for real?
What do you mean?
Well, I knew we were doing some robot research, but this thing is
incredible.
Incredible is not a strong enough word, sir.
The only way Eve 8 can ever be killed is not from getting shot in the heart or even shot in the brain, but with a direct impact through her fucking eyeball. Eve 8 goes on a rampage. She kills policemen, civilians, and she even bites off a guy's dick. To make matters even more complicated, it is discovered that the robot is acting out scenarios and thoughts originally held by Dr. Simmons herself.
So this device of yours is horny as well as psychopathic. Huh? It's quite a combination in a woman.
This includes improper thoughts, personal resentments, and even her naughty sexual fantasies.
So we got any other teenage fantasies I should know about?
What?
Oh, shit. I said, have you got any other teenage sexual fantasies I should know about?
God. Am I supposed to put myself through analysis with some guy who's probably never read anything more complex than an Army field manual?
Oh, get over it, lady! Listen, there's 5 dead cops out there thanks to your surveillance device. And along with them comes 5 grieving widows and their fatherless children. And I don't think all that pain and loss can compare to any embarrassment that you might feel because you gotta talk to me. And you gotta talk to me!
Adding to the tension, and unbeknownst to Colonel McQuaid, Eve 8 is fitted with an internal nuclear device. After she sustains a bad impact during a collision, the device arms the nuclear weapon and starts a 24-hour countdown.
What's that?
Oh my God.
The fuck is that?
She's put herself on a 24-hour clock.
With the robot headed for New York City, millions of lives are now at risk, and it is up to Colonel McQuaid and Dr. Simmons to hunt the android down before it is too late. Now, this movie was written and directed by British director Duncan Gibbons. Sadly, he would die just 2 years after this movie. On November 3rd, 1993, he was fleeing from a roaring wildfire in Malibu, California that was engulfing his rental home. While he initially escaped, he decided to go back to rescue a cat he saw in the building. He received severe burns to 95% of his body and jumped into his swimming pool. The chlorine and chemicals from his pool got into the burns and penetrated his bloodstream. He was rescued, asking about the cat, but he later died of his injuries. The cat was found days later, unharmed. In an example of tragic irony, 2 of the other movies he worked on were called Fire with Fire and Third Degree Burn. I first saw this movie in the spring of 2023, and I was actually very impressed. This could easily become a drawn-out, boring film like so many other random early 1990s action movies, but the pacing is done quite effectively.
Homer, this is Seeker.
I also enjoy the acting from Kurt Fuller, Gregory Hines, Renée Soutendijk. Actor and stuntman George P. Wilbur plays a small role as a doomed policeman. He was best known for playing Michael Myers in the films Halloween 4 and Halloween 6 that came out in 1988 and 1995, respectively. I actually got to meet him at a Halloween event at an indoor family fun center in October of 1997. He had the original masks that he wore in the Halloween movies on display, and he was a very nice man. He passed away in the year 2023. Despite appearing to be the type of movie that was a dime a dozen direct-to-video release, Eve of Destruction actually had a United States theatrical release and ended up grossing over $5 million. However, the budget on this movie was $13 million, so making less than half of its budget made it a box office bomb.
Gregory Hines. Eve of Destruction, rated R. Starts Friday, January 18th at theaters everywhere.
Some have criticized the plot as being unrealistic, but I think it's not too bad for a science fiction film. A humanoid robot that the government wants for spying and infiltration that malfunctions and goes nuts? Sounds like a cool science fiction plot to me. The robot is basically like the Terminator, just in a hot pantyhose-clad foreign chick's body. There are some humorous moments in this movie, despite it being a science fiction action thriller and not a comedy.
Those are tits.
Who taught you that?
Not Daddy, I swear.
Tim, they're breasts. The other word's not nice, okay?
Okay, breasts. Want to know what those are called?
Those? You tell me.
Oh, Daddy did tell me that.
There were some criticisms of the lead actress Renée Soutendijk. Born in the Netherlands, this was her first U.S. film. Posters in the United States focused on Gregory Hines. But in Europe, Gregory Hines was not as big a celebrity as he was in America, so the posters in Europe focused on Renée Soutendijk. Some reviews criticize Renée Soutendijk as not being attractive or sexy enough. I disagree, and I actually found her quite attractive. I like European actresses. Dutch, Nordic, Germanic, French. I think they take their work very seriously. I actually think they're more sexual in their roles than American actresses. It originally appeared as though actor Jim Belushi was going to star in the movie, but he had to drop out due to scheduling conflicts. Gregory Hines was his replacement, and I really enjoy the humor that Hines brings to the character. Gregory Hines was a much better action star than I think he was ever really given credit for. Overall, I was rather surprised by how much I enjoyed this film. I think Gregory Hines is great with his no-nonsense style. Renée Soutendijk looks great with her early 1990s hair and the business attire and the pantyhose. And she does a fantastic job playing both the doctor and the robot. The pacing is good so the movie doesn't get boring, and overall I was impressed. So if you're in the mood for the type of movie where Gregory Hines has to hunt down a hot Dutch chick in black pantyhose with a nuclear device set to blow up inside of her, I recommend Eve of Destruction.